This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, but boasting a beautiful spring Toronto background behind me because I love Toronto. Folks, my guest has a beautiful background behind him as well, outside and beautiful California. But folks, one of the films we're going to be talking about wasn't springtime.
No.
Folks, we're going to go back to 1987 for to talk a bit about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, which I have on Blu-ray here. And anybody who's followed my show, I've had director Lee Harry on here in the past. And last December, I had Eric Freeman himself, Garbage Day, on here as well. Of course, Eric Freeman played Ricky. Well, before Eric Freeman played Ricky, you had to hear the story. You had to see the flashbacks that mostly consisted of the original film, which I also have here on Blu-ray. And you had to hear the stories. And one of the stops was his teenage years. Yes, where we get images of somebody who should not teach driver's ed, especially in a Jeep. Folks, we have Ricky as a teenager, folks. Yes, we have actor David Guilbeau. Did I say your name right?
Well, it's Darrel.
Yeah. Huh?
It's Darrel Guilbeau, not David.
Darrel Gabe. Why did I say David?
You
Because
know,
I
I get
even,
I get that a lot. I get David and I get Daniel because
you
I
know
think
what?
they're
Because
more.
I have you down here as Darrell. Why
Yeah,
did I say David?
a lot of people do that. Honest to God, I'll get Daniel and I get David a lot. Even though they'll see Darrell, but there's just something about the lettering and I guess because Daniel and David are a little more well known or popular names.
Well, it's funny, even on this interview, I have you listed as Da- uh, Darrell. So, wow, I can't believe I flipped that up.
That's okay. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll be a David for a while.
yeah. Oh, we'll call you Darrell.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never been to California. Actually, I was talking to somebody out of California last night because I'm good friends with Nancy McLaughlin from Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives.
Oh,
And
nice.
she and I have been friends for uh, years now. And she gave me a call last night while I was at work because I can always put my earbuds in and chat. And,
Exactly.
so she and I were chatting and she was in California and she was asking, how can you work all night? And I said, well, because it's peaceful and I don't have to deal with as many people.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done a graveyard a few times and also done some overnight shoots. And they're actually, I don't know if I could do it constantly, but I did enjoy it the times I did because, like you said, there's a lot more peace and the world is asleep and you're kind of out there doing your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially when you go online and all the hatred over politics and stuff, it's like, just get me out of there. Yeah. But yeah, I love seeing the background there of California. So it must be beautiful there right now. I've never been to California.
I love living here. I've been here since 1984, so dating myself a bit. So
That was when the original Silent Night, Deadly Night came out,
yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is,
1980.
when that one first came out, I wasn't in, I was a serious actor, and I wasn't into like horror films or slasher films, and I grew up in a very Catholic home, so the whole thing of Christmas is very sacred. And
Hmm.
when the first movie came out, I remember there were some protests about it, making Santa a killer, and I just thought, oh my God, I hope I'm never in that. I said I wouldn't want to be in that. And then my first feature length movie is Silent Night, Deadly Night Part Two. So never say never.
Did the Catholic folks embrace that?
Well, my parents watched it and they were fine.
Yeah. You
But
know
you know,
what?
I was so glad to get work, and it was great because I meeting Lee was amazing because I thought he was such an exceptional director and a great guy. So it was a great experience filming it. So I'm glad I did it.
I grew up in a Christian home and I'm Christian myself. Not exactly the best example of it, mind you, but nonetheless, uh, I believe in the Bible. So I mean that's my faith is
Right,
Christianity.
right, right.
But but I don't know. I find my taste is a little different when it comes to movies. I find a lot of Christian movies are so bad.
No, they are.
It's
They are. I mean, I think sometimes I love watching film from all over the world, actually,
hmm
and I find I can, um, I love it because it gives me an eye into the world and
hmm
how people are and what people are thinking. It doesn't. To me, faith. It's like if you're going to separate yourself so much from the world around us, then you're going to be kind of clueless. If you believe in
Yeah.
God, He's not just in this little box in a church somewhere or in that little Bible. He's, he, she, whatever. God is everywhere. You know.
I was so happy when I went to the movie theater in 2004 and saw The Passion of the Christ, which I thought was brilliant, the way Mel Gibson shot it. But I mean, that movie was bloodier than most horror movies.
Right,
And I'm
right, right, right.
like, I'm
Yeah,
actually half tempted to see if I can order a t-shirt with the Passion of the Christ on it because I could wear that at conventions and I could fit
yeah.
right in and I could share my faith and all that. It's just,
Well,
you know,
there's a lot of Bible stories too that you would not want to be teaching in Sunday school.
nope, nope.
Not,
But I mean, still, there's a lot of those movies, like a lot of the faith-based movies are so preachy and they're so horrible and they're preaching to the choir. It's like, I'm sorry, but these are so bad. And so I'm not saying all of them, but there's a
don't get me
majority
wrong.
of them that
Yeah,
are. So,
yeah.
but
You know, when I was younger and The Omen came out, the original Omen with Gregory Peck and Lee Remick,
mhm,
I wanted to see it. And my mom was like, no, being Catholic, she was afraid we'd get possessed if we went to watch it in the movie theater. So I went with my older brother and I went with my aunt because they wanted to see it. And because they knew about the whole Antichrist thing. And so I'm in the movie theater, my first R-rated movie, actually. And the very beginning of the movie, there's a scene where the first nanny is gone, and they bring in that you know devil nanny, and it's dark. Gregory Peck is coming to the nursery to see the kid, and then you hear, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna get possessed. That was my first thing, but it was those black Rottweilers. That was the first growl, and I was thinking, oh my god, it's the devil. But then, of course, I watched the movie. I didn't get possessed, as far as I know. So
that first nanny that hung herself, that was Jack Palance's daughter.
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Was it Holly Talent?
Holly Palance.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not realize. Really,
Oh
it was
yeah.
a good movie. Really good movie.
I've never interviewed anybody off that movie. I would like to.
Yeah,
But I have met Harvey Stevens, who played Damien. I met him at Frightmare in the
really,
Falls.
really,
He is buffed up.
really.
Like he looks to me like he works out because he is buffed up really well. I met him, he signed my Blu-ray of The Omen, and I got a picture taken with him. I don't think he's very polite, but I don't think he's up for doing podcasts. I said, come on,
Yeah.
I don't bite. Listen, you play Damien. Look, come on. give you a story.
Yeah.
But he was very nice to me, and he was one of the go-to people I went to meet that year, and it was just kind of cool, you know. Um, I haven't seen all the Omen movies, but I saw the first and I saw the second one. Drastically different in tone, both of them, but I really like the original. I got it here on Blu-ray as well. So it's funny with horror movies because I grew up, I was petrified of horror films. I was petrified, and every Friday night there'd be a horror movie on our TV, and
Yeah. Yeah.
for some weird reason, I would sit there and watch, and I would get my have nightmares over it. And why would I torture myself? I was one of these believers, and I'm still like this to this day. I believe in good over evil.
Right.
You know, I want to see I want to see good prevail.
Yeah.
Um, and what's funny, like there would be these scary movies on like Salem's Lot was on one time. There was uh
Which a new movie
oh
is
gee,
coming out of that.
huh?
A new movie is coming out of Salem's Lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Um well, the actors from the original passed away before he was supposed to be a horrorama back in 2022, and
David
so
Soul.
we end up not getting to have him. But
Isn't it
um
David Soul?
huh?
David Soul.
I think so, yeah.
Lance Kerwin was the kid. I'm getting
Yeah,
members.
yeah. Um, but I would see these movies. It was children shouldn't play with dead things. That was one of the ones that played on that Friday night. I would have a hard time going to sleep. And why would I torture myself, you know? And then there was one time I was at my cousin's because I had an uncle that owned a video store back in those days.
Oh,
And my cousins and my older brother baited me into watching Friday the 13th Part 2.
yeah.
And I would sit there and watch it like this, you know, and um it's funny, there was like three deaths in the movie, but it was the moment a woman walks naked out in the middle of the lake that my mom rushes in and turns the television off, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever seen a naked woman too. So yeah, who'd have thought that that movie was educational?
Yeah. Right.
Uh, but anyway, they managed to sneak the movie back on again, and I went back in there and watched it because I wanted to see this killer get his comeuppance, and I did not get my wish by the end of the movie, and I remember going home thinking, you know, he's still out there.
Yeah.
Here's what changed it for me. I got two brothers, an older and a younger, and my older brother, I guess, was a bit more adventurous uh, before my younger brother and I. And my uncle had the video store. He had Friday the 13th parts two, three, and four.
Right.
And my brother had rented them. And he had an argument to me. He said, Greg, he said, you can watch Conan the Barbarian with all the blood in that movie, or the Beastmaster with all the blood in that movie, and you can't watch a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
And here was my response. I said, Jason was not chasing Conan. I said, I'm afraid that would have went the opposite way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was my argument. But however, he did challenge me. He got me to watch Friday the 13th, the final chapter, the fourth one, because he said that Jason dies. And he was correct. You know, that was the one where he in human form died,
Right.
you know. Then they kept bringing them back. It's funny. I watched it like this, but I was okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Since we had access to parts two and three, I was like, let's watch those. And it's funny. I started. Well, a lot of people call my channel a horror channel, and that's not exactly true. I interview people from all sorts of movies,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, I've kind of embraced horror films quite a bit more, and I have quite a few memories of them. So, so now I'm not afraid to watch them. I don't care for movies that push push it too far. Like I could do without the stuff that goes on in the Hostel movies, for
Oh
example,
yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah. And Saw. I'm not a Saw fan.
I've seen all the Saws
Mm.
in theater,
Yeah.
every single one of them.
Yeah.
Um, I'll say this, there's stuff in them I like, but at the same token, it's like, really, you can't do this without
Right.
pushing the gore limits,
Yeah. Yeah. To me,
you know?
sometimes things are scarier when you don't see something.
Exactly. There's a big difference between the original Halloween and a lot
Yeah.
of the sequels that came after,
Oh yeah. It's a big difference.
But um, I'm a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh yeah.
I
Definitely.
had his granddaughter on here back in 2016. That was interesting. Yeah. Um, and he changed the way I look at movies because I
Really.
saw, yeah, well, Psycho was the first movie I saw as a midnight movie.
Yeah.
And I had never seen it prior to that. So I thought I should attend this. Students were putting it on at the theater,
Yeah.
and there was a thing on there that said, come and see the movie that scared your parents. And I was like, this was 1996. And I was like, I got to go see Psycho on the big screen. And that led to me wanting to see other Hitchcock movies. And of course, Hitchcock introduced me to James Stewart and Cary Grant and the gorgeous Grace Kelly.
Yeah. Kim Novak. So many.
Yep. Speaking of which, oh, look at this. My co-host. Look at this.
So
My
cute.
Skittles.
Oh. Oh.
Skittles is keeping all
Goodness.
the frights away from me.
My dog is jealous. Let's see if I can get a shot.
Yeah. Look at that kitty. Oh, look at that. You got doggy. Skittles is like, I'm so offended.
I know.
I'm so offended.
Got to share the screen with a dog.
I can't believe it. Skittles, you're so spoiled.
Daisy wants
I
to be
hear
in.
you purring in there. I know you're acting embarrassed, but I can hear you purring. You're
My
a
dog
purry
wants to be
geek.
in the sun, so she won't come sit next to me. She said, "I'd rather be in the sun."
Skittles says the worst horror movie he ever saw was Cats.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, I can relate to that. That was pretty bad. That was pretty scary, but not in a horror film
Yeah.
way.
The execution was not done very well.
Yeah. And of course, Skittles has said another nightmare cat movie was The Cat in the Hat. He said it, yeah, he said he could not tolerate that. And I think that's one of the big reasons why he never cleans my apartment because Mike Myers didn't in that movie either.
Yeah. What about Ben? I bet your cat would not have liked Ben or Willard.
I haven't seen Ben. I know which one you're talking
Yeah,
about,
you
but
need to see
Willard I
Willard.
have.
Yeah, Willard. Yeah, that was really
Yeah, yeah.
for its time, I think it was just freaky of having this guy who loved a rat, and that became
You know
his
what's
best friend.
funny? I don't like abuse to animals, but some strange reason. And it's funny because Inglorious Bastards made this argument in the opening of that movie between rats and squirrels. And it's kind of like you just can't get behind rats for some weird reason,
Right, exactly.
because I love snakes, but I mean, and snakes kill rats.
That's true.
Yeah. And but I'm not I'm not a big rat person. No, not at all. But
Me either.
But anyway, but yeah, um, I should show something here. Speaking of horror films, I went to did my first trip to the States last year. You know, because my I'm good friends with Lisa Langlois from the movie Class of 1984, and she's been on here a couple times, and she invited me to my first convention to assist her, and she and I have been are still friends. But let me see, because I have here, I met a couple of interesting people there that, well, I met a lot of interesting people there, but a couple in particular that show off here just because I can. Okay. And I enjoyed it there. And I don't know when I'll go back because, like I said, it's a little pricey,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, I did enjoy my time there. But I met your older version.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I had him on last year. He gave me his info right there. It says to Greg, it's garbage day. Eric Freeman, Ricky. Yeah, I liked meeting him. And yeah, I had a great chat with him last year on my show. And of course, Robert Brian Wilson, Billy from the first one.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, I've also met Linnea Quigley, who was in the original as well. Didn't meet her at Chiller. I met her at a different convention, but actually I met her a couple times. But yeah, I met them and they were a lot of fun. Haven't had Robert Brian Wilson on here yet, but he did give Eric his contact info to send to me. So I just haven't, yes, hasn't responded yet. So
Right.
that's okay. Eventually we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
But
You
But
know what?
anyway,
You
before we
mentioned.
get to Silent Night, Deadly Night and anime and all that cool stuff that you're involved with, I would like to get your background and what got you into the industry because I know you have a big background in voiceover, but talk about what triggered you to go into the industry.
I grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana, so about as far away as you can get from, entertainment. New York
Hmm.
is one side, California on the other side. We're stuck in the middle. And I, there was just something about being in a story. And as a little kid, we weren't like on we had a little small farm, so we were kind of isolated from. I didn't have like neighborhood kids around, so you had to use your imagination a lot. It wasn't until like first grade, I think, where other than cousins, I met like, oh, who are all these kids? All of a sudden I'm in first grade, and who are these kids? Um, and I would watch, I think, old movies, even though I didn't understand them, but I found the stories interesting. Like, oh, that'd be kind of fun to be in that, and I would kind of place myself in my head in those places. And then as a little kid, we start putting on plays. Like my sister and cousins and myself, we'd put on little plays. We would do things like that. And then we got my younger brother to start doing it. He was 6 years younger than me when he was able to start being in it. And I think it was just always there. And then when I found out what sort of acting was, I just wanted to be an actor. And there was no one in my family involved in anything like that. I didn't know anyone. But it sort of was my own little secret inside. And I started doing. And then when I was 15, I auditioned for this local dinner theater, and I was actually a very shy kid, and I didn't like doing plays in school. I didn't. I was just too shy. But I liked the thought of playing my age group because I didn't like kids playing adults. Like you had a kid playing an old person, or I just like, oh, I don't want to. So I liked being in a play where the adults were playing who they were, you know,
Hmm.
in the age groups. And so I got this part, and it was a local historic play called Evangeline, the True Stories. Because my ancestors are basically from the Nova Scotia area. Um,
Well, that's not far from me. Do you
Port
know,
Royal,
huh?
Port Royal. You know where that
I
is?
don't know, but I mean, New Brunswick is right next door
Yeah,
to Nova Scotia. Do you
yeah,
actually know where New Brunswick is? Because most people
mhm,
don't.
yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I've thought about going in that area actually because of just finding out some of my heritage stuff.
Oh,
In
wow.
fact, I think I have like 1%, and I think it because I've seen some genealogy things where on both sides of my mom's side and my dad's side we have Mi'kmaq Indian
Hmm.
tribe in us because one side married a woman and one side married a Mi'kmaq man. So
Okay.
but prior to that, of course, they came from France. So France to Nova Scotia to and then there's a French word for it, but I forget. But it was when the British kicked out all the Acadians, and a big chunk of us ended up in Louisiana. So that's is sort of my background with heritage. But like I said, no one was into any of it. Most Cajuns were either, especially when they first came in, they were either farmers in the plain parts of Louisiana, the plains, or fishermen and trappers and hunters in the swamps, you know, and sometimes it carried over. So that's sort of like the background I had, and but it would always be in my head. I tried to do a play every time there was like a local play or like a little community theater or anything because I loved working with the adults and I loved playing the characters that I was given as my age group. So even in junior high, I kept writing to acting schools and to agents every summer. Every summer, I just would write to them and express my desire to be an actor and to try and get information, you know. And I did a summer program in New Orleans at Tulane, and but where I wanted to go was either New York or LA. I wanted to study like at HB Studios or American Academy of Dramatic Arts, that sort of thing. And so I auditioned for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Dallas, and they ended up accepting me. So I chose to go to LA because my mind was, if I'm going to be a poor, starving actor, I'm going to do it in the sunshine and not in the freezing cold. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was accepted here in LA to the school and I went for the 2 years. And then the first month out of school, I got my first acting job. And I got my first agent from that gig. So that's kind of what started everything.
It's funny you say that because here we are on March 23rd and we got snow going on outside, and there you got that beautiful
I know. I
background there in California.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm glad your house wasn't touched. I heard about the fires there in January. I've had a couple guests that lost their homes and that, and
Okay.
um, that's devastating. I'm sorry to hear that because um, I immediately was contacting people
Yeah.
to see if people were okay and stuff, and yeah, that's devastating. I'm glad your house was fine.
Yeah.
I know when I interviewed Lee Harry,
Yeah.
um, he was on watch for it, and I interviewed him. I'm trying to think. I think was it 2017, 18,
Yeah.
19, somewhere in there. I interviewed him because I always date these interviews. So when I had him on, he was under watch on that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I had a warning. I
yeah.
got my phone, I got one of the warnings, and I was like, "What?" I mean, it was smoky, and ash was coming over, and embers, and and I was like, "Oh my god, my neighbor has a big pine tree, and there were all these dried needles in my gutters." So I had to put on a mask and get on the ladder and was trying to clear out the pine needles. And then when I got the warning, I was kind of freaked out, and I was like, "Oh, I don't have a go bag ready." And so I tried to like put a few things together, my dog's food, and a few things. I said, just at least I have some of the important paperwork and everything there. And I went outside, and I'm kind of in a little hilly area, so I looked. I said, well, I don't really see any major fire coming this way, and so I never had to evacuate, which was great. But I just had to kind of prepare just in case. But the wind changed. Instead of coming my way southwest, it kind of went straight west, going north of me.
Did
So
the
yeah,
dog
it was.
help with the pine needles?
Huh?
Did the dog help with the pine needles?
Oh no, she was just like, "You better get my food. That's all I'm asking. Just get my treats and my food. That's the most important thing." So she runs the house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They sleep a lot, but when it comes treat time, boy oh
Oh,
boy, it's just a sudden burst of energy.
on these eyes that just like gold. Found gold.
Now,
Treat.
does your dog wake you up in the morning?
No, I'm up for her, and she looks at me and like, I'm staying here until the sun comes up, and you let me sit in the sun. I'm not moving until the sun's out.
Yeah, I have a CPAP mask I wear when I sleep, and my cat has this thing. He jumps up on my bed and he'll walk on my leg and then on my stomach, on my chest, right up to my neck, and he'll gawk right in my face. And I'm like, Skittles,
Yeah.
your uptime and my uptime are two entirely different things. And there's a lot of times when I have my CPAP machine on, he will purr and rub against the mask. And I'm like, Skittles, that is not what that's for. But I
Yeah.
remember there was a few months ago, um, I must have been sound asleep, but I was starting to come through because I felt something against my face. And I opened my eyes. It was my cat's whiskers. My cat was trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
And what my cat wanted, and he's done this before, he wanted to come under the covers.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. It was a little chillier because it was winter.
Yeah.
And but he wanted to come under the covers. So I lifted the covers up and he goes in, he curls up by my side.
Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, I have a really good relationship with my cat. I love my kitty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, having pets. I know we're back on that. We love our pets.
I love my.
Absolutely,
I love my. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd do anything for that girl.
There you go. There you go. Well, as I said, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. I've had, like I said, I've had Lee Harry and I've had Eric Freeman on here, and I enjoy this movie. I know it lands on a lot of worst movies lists, but when I was
Which is
interviewing Lee
great.
Harry, I said to him, I said, there's bad movies like I think Pearl Harbor is absolute garbage for a movie. There's nothing entertaining about it. It's a garbage film. That's what I consider garbage.
Right.
And then there's movies they say are so bad they're good.
Yeah.
And Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, it's funny because when I had Eric Freeman on here, I said, I see a lot more merit to this than a lot of people might. And I said to him, this is where I kind of stand on this. Because if you watch the first Silent Night, Deadly Night, poor Billy
Hmm.
it was very traumatizing because he saw his parents killed by somebody dressed
Right.
in a Santa suit. And then he's being pushed into that direction by the nuns at the orphanage. And when that movie ends, it's kind of like, I felt bad for Billy.
Right.
And of course, the head mother was not exactly the friendliest woman.
Right.
And of course, I was telling Eric Freeman, I said, in the second film, I kind of understood Eric Freeman's character, Ricky, because he wants to be let out and he gets a backstory, but he wants to go after the headmistress.
Right. Right.
And I was like, yeah, I get it. And
So you're saying
so
you're saying he's the Rambo of Santa Clauses?
yeah, yeah.
Sort of.
You know what? That's actually an interesting comparison because when Rambo, I like the first Rambo movie. I can't get into the other ones; they're just too cartoonish. But
Usually
I
the
think
first
that
one the
that
best.
first one,
Yeah, it was great. Richard Donner.
yeah, that first one, boy, did it ever say something. And Stallone and that scene of towards the end there, where it's like that was the scene that really tells you what the movie was about. And he got pushed to it. And I kind of look at this that way with these movies. Now, I haven't seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
I might see them eventually. I don't know. I find it funny if Rooney was protesting the first one, he ended up being in the fifth one. So I find that rather amusing.
Yeah. That would be funny.
Yeah. But I like those first two. And as much as I love the first one, I couldn't have the first one without the second one because I felt so bad for Billy that at Christmas I got like 10 non-horror films I watch at Christmas time, and I got 10 horror Christmas films that I watch. And I usually start um, on the 1st of December and I go right up to Christmas Eve. Yeah. I usually Christmas Eve I watch the original Black Christmas. 'Cause I love that. It was shot in Toronto.
Right. Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, but I can't watch Black or Silent Night Deadly Night without watching Silent Night Deadly Night 2 because it's kind of like I can't leave Billy's story unresolved, and
You
Ricky's
watch it
kind
on
of
the
the
Do you watch it on the same night or do you watch it
I
the next?
try to, yeah.
Oh,
I try to, yeah. Absolutely. you know. But I hear a lot of people, they'll trash talk this movie. And I said to Lee Harry, I said, when did it come to you that there was something about your movie, especially with all the garbage day memes? And I had this conversation with Eric Freeman as well, and Eric's a very level guy, and
yeah.
it was so cool to meet him, a very down to earth guy, to me. And I told him, I said, in many ways, you're kind of the hero of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Yeah.
He was wronged by the people. He and his brother were wronged by the people that were supposed to protect them.
Right.
Yeah. But gee, it kind of reminds me of our recent government. Not that I want to get into politics, but nevertheless, so I enjoy those first two movies. So, and of course, you play young Ricky. And a
Yes.
lot of people talk about, they played a lot of the first movie in the flashbacks.
Right.
And yeah, there's a lot of padding there and whatnot. But here's the thing. I like the fact they give a nice bunch of flashback backstory
Right.
to Ricky.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in. I would like to hear about how you got Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 in your first meeting with Lee Harry.
Well, I went on an open. It wasn't an open call, but it was. We used to have this thing called Drama Log, which is
Hmm.
now some actors are around today. They know it's now Backstage West. So, and of course, it was before having internet and laptops and all this stuff. Um, we would get this magazine every week, and they would have all the auditions that you could possibly submit yourself to. And it used to be, instead of these electronic submissions, we would mail our headshot and our resume to the address that they had to send it to. So I did that, and I was actually doing a play at a time called Danny and Lawrence, and it was in Santa Monica. And actually, it was with Anne Marie Johnson. She used to be on In Heat of the Night with Carol O'Connor.
Okay.
She was the wife of. Unfortunately, that actor had passed away, but I forgot the actor's name. And she was also in What's Happening Now with that sitcom, and so she was great and everything. But I just remember that because I remember getting uh, uh, the information that day that I had gotten the movie, and I was like, oh my god, I got a movie. And but anyway, so the first time I sent in my information, and then I got a call to audition, and I just went in, and I mean, Lee was great, and uh, didn't expect anything. I just go in and do what they tell me to do and try to be present, and if I get something, I get something. Then I got called, and I got the part. And I was just like, oh wow, okay, this is nice. And but I had to laugh at myself because I said, that I never thought I'd be in a movie like that. And but it's like, the movie gods were kind of like, no, you never say that. Here you go, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part Two, which ended up being a great, fun experience. Um, and I got to work with him a second time after that movie, which was great.
Okay. You know what? I almost forgot. Well, I got the chiller bag here. Why did I almost forget this? Because I've also had on the show here, speaking of Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2, I should definitely bring this up. Okay. We have, because I got about three pictures of this person signed. This person was in a lot of movies. I had this person on the show, Tara Buckman,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. She's
who
done a lot.
played the mom.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, to Greg, Tara Buckman. She gave me a big hug when she saw me. She said, "I'm so glad you made it." You know,
Yeah.
I'm
That's so
still in
great.
touch with her. Yeah.
Yeah. She's. I've seen her in a lot of things as well.
Well, I got uh she signed a picture from that and Cannonball Run and Hooper on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, an author named Charles Rosenay put me in touch with her. Charles was I'd never heard of him, but he had reached out to me and he was being rejected by podcast
Mm.
because nobody knew who he was. Well, I'm one of these people, I'm open to having anybody on if they have a story,
Right.
because I'm like, who am I? It's like I'm not Joe Rogan, but I'm blessed to be able to do this. So
Yeah.
he presented his book, uh, the top 100. Uh, oh, gee, it's over there. I'm going to tongue tie it. But he gets a lot of performers to give their top 10 horror films.
Oh, interesting.
And he's got a bunch of books out. Well, I had him come on the show, and he's been on three times. And he was the one that put me in touch with Tara Buckman. But I often tell people, especially people in podcasting, don't ever turn down an interview because you never know when the appreciation comes in. Because when I did Chiller, I went down there. I didn't go down there with Lisa, but I was going to go down there and assist Lisa Langlois.
Right.
And she went down, I think, a day ahead of me. And anyway, I'd never been to the States, let alone New Jersey.
Right.
So I got talking on the phone one night with Charles, and Charles was going to be down there helping Tara Buckman get set up. Of course, he was going to have his own table selling his books.
Right.
And he said to me, he says, Greg, he says, where are you staying down there? And I said, I haven't worked that out yet. And he said, look, the event's taking place inside this big hotel. He said, would you like to split a room with me? And I said, absolutely. And you see, you never know when you
Right.
show kindness to somebody when it comes back,
Right.
you
Absolutely.
know. So I met Charles, and I got to meet Tara. Tara was happy to see me, and I assisted Lisa a little bit, and I had fun at that event. But and of course, that's where I met the two killer Santas.
The funny
Yeah.
thing when I auditioned, I mean, I never met Lee during the filming because my
No?
no, because my scenes, of course, since we were playing the younger version, he's the older version. We were never in the same
Oh,
scene.
you never met Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, Eric. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. My bad. Yeah, I never met Eric until a few years ago when the DVD came out of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part Two, and they had that Santa doll. You
Hmm.
see that? Yeah, of him. Yeah. And that was the first time I met him. So that was really interesting, and yet, we knew of each other, of course, but that was really an interesting thing. And the weird thing is, I played him younger, but I'm
Yep.
actually older than him. I'm older than
That's
I'm older
funny.
than Eric Freeman. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because you play him as a teenager,
Right.
and you get that flashback scene where of course, most people remember, of course, where you see this couple out in a picnic, and of course, the guy's being abusive to this woman,
Yeah.
and of course, you end up running him over with the Jeep and backing over him. I always found it funny the woman. Because in the first film, Billy kills this guy that's being aggressive with this woman, and then she gets smitty with him about it, and then he ends up killing her as well.
Right.
Well, in
Right.
this one, here the woman thanks you. He doesn't walk off. I'm like, wow,
So,
that was kind of funny,
so
you know?
do you know why she said thank you?
Why's that?
Because she saw the first movie.
Ah,
She
she
didn't want to be
probably
killed
did.
like the other girl.
You know what? That makes sense.
She said,
That
wait a minute,
makes,
I need to change my my response to this.
yeah, there you go. There you go. But
I love to see. I love it when he had me. I forget the Randy. Randy was the guy who played. I forget his last name, but he played the guy I run over.
uh-huh.
Really nice guy. They were both sweet people. And he goes in front of the Jeep, and there's no one there, and because he had me, out of the picture, and then
Hmm.
I'm all of a sudden there's another angle, and you see me sitting there, you know, and it was just kind of fun to be able to do stuff like that. Never would I have thought someone would hire me to be a killer. You know,
There you go.
and,
What
he, and
what 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 did the I think you mentioned that your what was it? Your folks saw this movie and
oh yeah,
whatnot.
they were proud of me because I was in a movie.
What did the Catholic folks think?
Oh well, I'm sure. I mean, I didn't really. I mean, I wasn't in the church at that time, so I don't know. But I'm sure there was. They put out these magazines. I'm sure it was like, "Do not see." You know, there's this Italian movie called Cinema Paradiso, and it
Okay.
takes place in the 1940s, I believe, and it's about this kid. It's actually the director. It's really about the director growing up in Italy in a little small village that's the under Catholicism. And whenever a movie would come, and the little kid befriends the projectionist in the only little movie theater they have in this little village. But before the movie can be shown, the Catholic priest is watching the movie, and he's sitting there, And anytime, like if there's a man kissing a woman or just a kiss, anything like that, then he goes, no. And then the projectionist has to put a little tab to make sure he splices that out of the movie. And then there's at the very end of the movie, this is why it's such a beautiful movie, is he doesn't take out the kiss in the movie. And everyone's not expecting it. And then this beautiful kiss happens, and the whole audience is like, oh, they're just like, they love it, because it's showing this reality. But so that's what I think of when I think of, of that kind of stuff. But, but one time I was, so when we were shooting, we were actually, we shot that in Sierra Madre, California. I don't know if you know Sierra Madre, but there's a Sierra Madre is famous also because Invasion of the Body Snatchers was filmed partially there.
Which
The
one?
original,
The
the
original
original,
or the
the
huh?
original, the original, the black and
I
white.
I like both. I like the original,
Yeah,
but I think
I
the
did too.
1978 film was fantastic as
Oh yeah,
well. It's
that
one
was
of those
great.
few great remakes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So
Yeah.
do you remember the little town square where all the
Hmm.
people are bringing those pods?
Yeah.
Kind of like a slanted little downtown, like these little buildings, little stores, and
Hmm.
that's downtown Sierra Madre. So we filmed in that area, and my scenes were up there in a cemetery as well as on this open field. And when we were going to shoot the running over scene, um, so I did the first thing. Oh, first of all, do you know what we used for the body of running over?
No.
They just put a big log, and I had to run over this log multiple times. You never saw the
Couldn't have been
body.
good. Couldn't
Yeah.
have been good for the tires.
No, no, yeah. So here I am in this red Jeep. So I do the first one, and it's scary because they have the camera, like I'm driving towards the camera, basically, and I have to stop at a certain point because I don't want to run over the director and the DP and any other crew members. So I did it, and then Lee came over to give me a little more direction. I'm like, oh, okay, and so I was backing up. I had him reverse, and then Lee came and gave me some information about what he wanted me to do, and then I'm ready. I'm like, they go action, and instead of going forward, the Jeep went. I pressed on the gas, and the Jeep just went all the way back. I forgot to take it out of reverse because I got a little distracted. So I was just
Hmm.
lucky there was nothing behind me like a cliff or trees or anything else. But they all started cracking up because here I go. Where's he going? So that was just those kind of little misfit things.
Well, if you had to hit the people in front of you, that would have upped the body count.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So there should have been someone filming on the other side, filming them, filming me.
There you go.
Right. That's a good point.
Well, I remember asking Lee this question, because of course its most famous scene, of course, is the garbage day scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
And although when I met Eric Freeman, he didn't have these on his table, I know in the past he would have miniature plastic garbage cans that he would
Oh,
sign, you
yeah.
know?
Good. That's a good
Ye-
idea.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
he would make those. And I remember I was asking Eric about when he started doing cons because I know between he and Lee for a long time, they kind of distanced themselves from the film because of the reaction to it.
Right.
But I said to Lee, I said, when was it that you first started getting the garbage day memes and it started to realize, gee, it's bizarre, but people are reacting to this the way they would the room,
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
like,
Right. Right.
yeah. And it's funny because, like I said, I hated like Pearl Harbor was a film I just hated, and I could think of other examples of movies that I did not like. And then there's movies that, for whatever reason, they don't work conventionally, especially
Yeah.
for critics. But
Right.
yes, somehow people go to them and it's like they have an experience. I really like the movie The Disaster Artist about Tommy Wiseau, because Tommy Wiseau was my first guest ever on here in 2015. And The Room is notorious for being a horrible movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny, if Tommy Wiseau goes to a convention, he gets a line and lines and lines of people. And suddenly, one of the things I liked about The Disaster Artist is like, you get the sense that, gee, this was not what I intended this film to be, but
Right. But I'll embrace.
people are kind of enjoying this. There's a theater in Toronto that plays The Room on the last Saturday of every month at midnight. And I'm like, you know what? Let the bad reviews come in because people are enjoying your film. And with Silent Night, Deadly Night, I remember when I met Eric Freeman, I played a video for him off of YouTube. They took the Happy Days song and they replaced the word Happy Days with Garbage Day. And they would show images of all of these bad movies.
Yeah.
And when it comes, Sunday, Monday, and then it would go garbage day, Tuesday, Wednesday, garbage day. And I played that for him. But it's like, I said to Eric, and I said, this, like, people are really digging your movie. So I asked them, when was it you realized, you know what? There's something going on here that I don't know what to think about it, but I don't dislike it, you know? What was there ever a point to you where it was like, gee, this little movie that I thought nobody liked, people seem to kind of dig it. Can you name when that happened for you?
Um, well, I do like you said in the introduction, a lot of anime voiceover for anime video games, and I had gone to a few conventions in the let me see when I would say maybe like mid 2000s or and on my thing it says Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2 or whatever, and every now and then somebody would come up and know me from that. So and I just thought, okay, that's kind of weird. I mean, that movie was done in the 1980s, and here it is, 2000 something. Um, and it was kind of like a little slow thing. And then one time I was at a convention in Chattanooga, and this girl was she was one of the staff, and we were just all talking, and somehow she brought up Saturday night, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. She brought it up, and I was like, okay. And I said, then I think I just did like naughty, because that was my tagline.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that was me. And she was like, no. She goes, I love that movie. She said, if I would have known, I would have brought the DVD for you to sign, but I didn't know it. So we kind of had a little running thing where I told her my red Jeep was outside if she wanted to come outside. And she loved it. She loved that. And then, of course, several Christmases ago, I don't remember actually when it was now, when they did the Blu-ray of the DVD and they asked me to be a part of the special interviews in that. I was, like that was amazing to me. And they had
Yeah.
the doll of Eric Freeman included with it. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this must have a bigger life than I even know about. So, and then I was interviewed actually even after that a couple of times by two different people. So, other than yourself. So,
Well, Tommy Kovac, the host of Splat from the Past, recommended you strongly to me, He does a lot more interviews than I do because, well, his schedule allows for it, whereas I work 70 to 80 hours a week, so um, I don't get to do as many. But nonetheless, so when I get the chance, I do these and I'm approaching 900 interviews now since 2015, so I'm not exactly slouching in that area. But anyway, I find it fascinating some of the especially if you go to what they allege is a bad movie with an audience. Boy, it's a trip to watch those.
1 second, because I just see I have low battery. So you can keep talking. I'm just gonna
Yep,
travel to a different room and plug it in.
yep.
So I'm still here.
What will Daisy say?
Well, she'll just enjoy where she is.
Oh, Daisy looks very, very ambitious.
She loves the sun. She's like, I'll stay out here as long as you let me.
Yeah.
So this, I
Look.
feel like I'm on one of those house tours.
Oh, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
lifestyles of the rich and famous. Of course, I'm not rich and barely famous.
Well, you know what? I'm not rich. I don't make money at this podcast. I work two cleaning jobs.
Right.
You know, like I just worked an overnight cleaning at a UPS here and came back here and got a little bit of sleep and then come on here and yeah. But you know, here's the thing, not that I want to get off topic, but when the pandemic happened, I was so disappointed that it was all about doctors and nurses and nobody gave a crap about benefiting
Yeah,
the
the
cleaning
service.
staff.
Right, exactly.
And I worked through the pandemic, you know, and I saw what cleaners were dealing with.
And a lot of them got sick, you know, and some passed away.
Yeah, I never got it.
Yeah. Oh,
I
wow.
never got it. Maybe I was ignorant to it because had it not been for the fact I had to work and pay my rent, I would not have even gotten the shots.
Right.
But I did it because, well, my job demanded it, and so I did it. But I really, I couldn't wait to get back in the movie theaters.
Oh, I know. Me too.
Yeah, like I wasn't one of these people that was avoiding people.
Yeah.
And I remember in 2021, I got to attend Frightmare in the Falls for the first time. And there was some guests there where one of us would have to wear a mask and the other one not, or whatever. And I remember meeting Lisa Loring, the original Wednesday Addams, and she was so friendly and she wasn't afraid to be around anybody, you know. And she wasn't masking herself up, and Felissa Rose was giving everybody a big hug, you know. But I remember when the with the movie theaters, it's like, you know, I just want to go and watch a movie,
Right.
you know. Like I wasn't it's not that I was pushing to get around people. It's that look, you know, when's the gig gonna be up, you know? So I when I say gig, I don't mean I don't believe it happened.
Right.
It's
Right.
that look, you know, come on.
Yeah.
So so
Well,
that was my thing, and that's what.
I didn't get COVID until January 2023.
Oh, really?
That was my first time to get it. Yeah, I had avoided it that whole time, and then 2023, but it
Well,
didn't.
I definitely believe it was going on. I've had
Yeah,
guests come on here and say they've had it. Now, did
yeah.
Daisy wait on you hand and foot?
She was still like, COVID, you're still walking me, right? You're on death's door. I need my walk.
Oh my goodness. How how did you handle it?
I mean, I didn't have a severe case. It was like for me, it was kind of just I did have all my vaccinations, so I think that helped. And so it maybe lasted a week or so. Like
Mhm.
a cold or a flu I would have gotten. So yeah, so it wasn't bad. And then I did get it again because I had gone to visit my mom last year in September, so September 2024. And of course, I flew. I had to, have connecting flights. And right when I got home, the next day I was sick. So I got COVID, through all the traveling. And
No, it's funny. Unless I was instructed to,
yeah,
I know there was a few flights where they asked to wear a mask,
right, right.
and so but I don't know. Maybe I was ignorant to it. I hope I never get it,
Yeah,
but I was eager to just get back doing my thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but being a cleaner that works overnight, that kind of gave me a lot of leeway too.
That's
So
true. That is
yeah,
true.
so I didn't work around a lot of people. I got one building I have a coworker in, and
Yeah,
that's about it. So it's just me and my thoughts. But yeah, I don't make money at the podcast. I just feel blessed to be able to do this, and so that's an awesome thing. But I found it funny, getting back to Garbage Day, that Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 had a resurgence
yeah.
because of that,
Because of that. Yeah,
Yeah. I haven't seen the third, fourth, and fifth film. I don't know if I want to, but I've heard bad things. But then again, I heard bad things about this one, and
yeah,
I don't know. I saw those memes of Eric Freeman and Garbage Day, and I was like, well, I got to see this. I got to see it. And I got it here on Blu-ray,
I'll
so
look it up. I'm gonna look it up. So
yeah. So I got there on Blu-ray, and so I showed Eric Freeman that video of the Happy Days theme, only with Garbage Day, and there was clips of all kinds of movies there, including that one. And I said to him, I said, people are enjoying your movie. That this is kind of harmless fun, you know, and I can appreciate that. It's like I said, there's a difference between going to a movie and just kind of like something like John Waters would do, where you're going there and it's like, my goodness, and you just experience it with an audience. And there's another thing about going to a movie that's so bad. It's like I remember seeing Cats in the theater, and it wasn't even 15 minutes, and I was checking my watch.
right, right.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, very bad sign. Oh, I had
Yeah.
one experience too where I don't remember how I found it, but somehow I saw this library thing that was I can't remember where it was. It might have been like somewhere like in the Midwest, but up north, like Minnesota, Wisconsin, or something. And it was this group of um, people who like horror movies, and they would screen the movie, and it was through their local library. They would screen the movie, and then they would also talk about it. So they gave you the link to where you could talk about it, so you could join the group.
Hmm.
So I'm going to join the group.
I bet you had a good experience with that
I
too.
did, and they didn't know, of course, that it was me. I just went in like like a person who would be watching it, normal person.
Hmm.
And then, of course, at the end, I just I talked just like they talk, right? I didn't say who I was. And then
Hmm.
eventually I kind of came out and they were just all like shocked, that I had gotten on that call. So that was fun. That was kind of a fun
And
experience.
I bet they were thrilled to talk to you, huh?
Yeah, it was wonderful. They were really, really wonderful. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They were appreciative that, I took the time to spend time with them.
Yeah, and you got to look at the movie and you see them laughing at it and whatnot. But it's like it's not a nasty laugh.
No,
It's
no,
kind of like, yeah, they're really digging it. There's a special place in people's heart for movies like that.
right.
Oh yeah, they're a good stress reliever.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, uh, do remember how old you were when you played young Ricky in that film?
So I must have been, oh God, math.
Well, the
Uh,
reason I'm asking is I
yeah.
was wondering, did your parents regret letting you get your license after seeing you in the Jeep?
They thought it was funny that here I am killing someone.
Did they
Yeah,
ground you?
no. And they couldn't. I was too far away.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, they thought it was funny.
Yeah. No, and so did you see the movie
I
when
mean,
it originally, huh?
I must have been in my I was in my early 20s for sure. Like maybe 22, 23 or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Maybe 22.
I was wondering if you were an actual teenager, you
No, because
know, it's like,
I've always looked way younger than what I am. And so when
hmm
even in my 30s, I was still playing like 18, 19, early 20s, you know. So took a while for me to get out of that.
Did you see the film when it came out and originally came out?
I didn't. I wanted to. I remember that I did in the LA Times. I did clip out um, the ad for it because back in the old days, I don't know if they still do it, but newspapers would have all the ads of all the movies that were playing in the cinema, and I just thought, oh wow, I'm in a movie that's in playing in Hollywood, but I didn't get to see it originally. And I don't remember when I first saw it, actually. I don't know. I don't think we had a screening.
Hmm
So it might have been on VHS.
I
I can,
remember those.
yeah, yeah. Or maybe Lee sent me a copy. I can't really remember. But yeah, but I didn't get to see it on the big screen.
Now, you had mentioned you worked with Lee again.
Right.
Now, I don't know the other film you worked with him on. Would you like to talk about the film and your
Yeah.
experience on that?
The movie was called Street Soldiers, and it was kind of like Warriors. Remember that old movie about gang warriors?
Yeah, I've interviewed a few of them.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was basically this kind of this squeaky clean kind of gang versus a real evil, black leather gang, right? Uh,
hmm
and so Lee was directing it, and he asked if I wanted to have a part in it. It was just a small part again, but I was in the very opening scene, and I basically get killed by the gang members. So this time I get killed by the opposing gang members, and this is what starts a war, a gang war,
hmm
is my death. And I play this character named Spud. So it was actually a lot of fun to do. And there was also a martial arts part of it. One of the leads was this guy from Korea, and he was kind of like just a student that kind of gets into our gang to help us. And it was actually I forget his name, but he had a martial arts studio in LA, in North Hollywood, and he was part of it as well. And he was like an older, master. But I die in the opening credits, and but I made great friends even from that. I have a good friend that the one who killed me. We're still in touch. I just saw him recently actually at a screening, and he's producing a lot right now. But yeah, so it was a great experience, and got to do some fun stuff with that. And yeah,
Yeah, I'm just going
but
through
it
your
is on YouTube. It is on YouTube. You can see it free.
Oh, okay.
If it's still there, but it's called Street Soldiers.
Okay. Oh, I see it here now. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. I also see here, I was looking down through these, you did a film called was it LBJ with Woody Harrelson?
I did. I
I
did.
never heard of this film, but I mean, Jennifer Jason Leigh is in that. I've always loved her, you know. Um,
It was
talk,
it came out the same day as Thor Ragnarok, so it didn't exactly, it was kind of overshadowed.
okay.
But it's basically about Lyndon B. Johnson and the Kennedy assassination.
Oh,
Sort
okay.
yeah, so sort of how he became president, and about it's interesting because I mean I really enjoyed the movie being in it. I was in New Orleans for a month filming, and they rebuilt in the studio there the soundstage. They rebuilt the Oval Office. They rebuilt Air Force One, the Senate. I mean, it was all in one big warehouse. And so it's like, oh, here's Air Force One. Oh, there's the White House. And of course, we did some on location stuff that would uh, double for Washington D.C., which is amazing that you can do that in New Orleans. And Rob Reiner was the director, and so it was just an amazing experience. I mean, there was good people, Richard Jenkins and Bill
Hmm.
Pullman, um, and I played this guy. No, I can't. Jack Valenti. Jack
Okay,
Valenti.
yeah.
Yeah, he was president of the Motion Picture Arts Association. That's what most people remember him for, back in the maybe 80s, 70s, 80s. And but before that, he was part of LBJ's administration. So I come on halfway, like after Kennedy is assassinated, then the movie goes into LBJ's term as president. So I'm in his administration. So I'm on pretty much from the middle of the movie to the end, and just working with Woody Harrelson, was amazing.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, my first scene that we were filming, um, and the first scene is you always feel a little awkward because okay, you're just you're getting into the gear of it, right? You're just trying to find your flow of it. And I remember there was a big group of us, and basically the scene is that we're walking, I believe, to the Senate. So the whole shot was just a scene with a whole group of us, and I'm standing next to Woody Harrelson in the front with him, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm underneath my breath. Here's Woody Harrelson. I can't believe I'm working with Woody Harrelson. I'm thinking that to myself. And I'm also thinking, oh my God, how do I walk? I don't even know if I know how to walk right now. And Woody Harrelson turned over to me, and he turns over to me and he says, "Can you believe we're in a movie with Rob Reiner?" He says, "That's one off my bucket list." And that was the first words he said to me. And then I said to him, I said, "Well, I can't believe I'm in a movie directed by Rob Reiner and with Woody Harrelson." I said, "That's two off my bucket list." And he said, "How nice." And then the only other kind of funny sort of exchange we had, they were filming on Air Force One, where Jackie comes in. She had the blood stains on her dress, and we're sitting there, and I was thinking, he came, he sat next to me, and we're just there, and I said, I was just thinking, you know, um, I wonder what the last words were before Kennedy was shot. What were the last words he ever said to her? And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "That would be interesting to know." And he said, "I hope it wasn't something like, 'Why'd you wear that pink dress?'" So it was a joy. It was such a joy to work on that film. It really was. A
Absolutely.
lot of good people in it. I don't think
Yeah.
it got the attention it should have gotten. And I think it's better than what critics said. But a lot of people who saw it really told me they liked it a lot. And I thought the performances were amazing. Woody was amazing. Um, yeah, so it was just kind of cool just being in a room with all these people.
And you're credited as or uncredited as a dead kid in Fatal Beauty.
And I have an extreme close up as one of the dead kids. And I was with Whoopi Goldberg, and basically I was just meant to be an extra. And I was, they had us lying. It's basically a movie about this drug that's called Fatal Beauty, that is going around killing people, killing kids. And so
Hmm.
there's a whole group of us had gone to some party, and the kids were all taking this drug. But when Goldberg comes in and you see all these dead kids on the floor, and then there's this close up of me, like, and then I remember the director saying, "Don't breathe, don't breathe, don't breathe, don't breathe." And you're like, okay, so finally you can breathe. So that was kind of funny. And then Whoopi Goldberg says, I was walking out, she says, "Y'all sure make good dead kids." So That was
I
actually
always
fun.
loved Whoopi's braids, you know. I always called it octopus hair because hers was thick. Her braids were thick. Cool. They were really cool, but they were really thick.
And I had a friend back in Louisiana go see the movie, and when my close up came up, he told me, he yelled, "That's Darrel!"
There you
Yeah,
go. There you go.
yeah,
Well, let's talk some anime because I know you're heavily into anime.
yeah,
Um, I never followed anime,
right.
but I've seen a few of the movies at the theater.
Yeah,
And I remember, I think I was in a situation where I had seen everything that's playing except for an anime movie, and I was like, you know what, I'll go check this out.
yeah,
And I went and I had a good time. I thought the animation was very different.
yeah,
I'd never seen it quite like that before, and I was like, you know what, this is really good. I might check out another anime movie, you know, and I've seen a few of them at the theater. I really love the one Bella that came out not too long ago. And uh, I can't remember the plots of a lot of them because a lot of them kind of run together. But one thing I'm always left with is the animation.
yeah. Oh, the
It's a
and
very different style and it's beautiful, you know, and
their stories have a real purpose. Their
mhm.
stories are very intricate and simple at the same time, and can also take you to places, that you just, the imagination of it's not like a cartoon. It's real, this real interesting story that is so imaginative, and there's so many different styles of anime, from the dark ones to the cutesy kind of ones, the mecha ones for robots, then the slice of life anime, So there's so many different styles of anime, which I find fascinating.
What got you introduced to anime? Because you've done a lot of anime, but that again, that's you got your various types of animation and whatnot. But anime is very specific. So what got you into that?
Basically, it's just, I always tell people, you just keep acting, and
Hmm.
sometimes work begets work. And many, many years ago, I had done this industrial film for the state of Arizona, and and there was a woman who played my mother in this production, and that was probably also in the '80s, late '80s maybe, yeah. And many, many years later, around like year 2000 or so,
Hmm.
1999, somewhere around there, I'm at an audition, and lo and behold, I see this woman, and I was like, oh, that's the lady who played my mother in this industrial film. So what I did, I went up to her and I said, you played my mother. And we just started talking a little bit. And she told me that her husband directed anime. And I said, oh, I didn't really know what anime was at the time. And she said, they're looking for a young voice. And she said, I think you would be really good for it. Give me your number and I'll have him call you for an audition. And I always take things with a grain of salt because I don't believe anything until it actually happens, so I don't put my heart out like, oh, this is really going to happen. So, but I did get a call and I went to audition, and I remember they knew I had no experience with dubbing or voiceover, but so they just kind of told me what to do. They said, you'll hear three beeps and then just speak after that. Don't worry about matching the lip flaps. We'll show you the Japanese first, and here's the script. So you just do it. So I did it and I had fun. I didn't think I was going to get it because like I said, I didn't have experience really in voiceover. Um, so I left and I said, okay, well, that was different. And then, a couple months later, maybe a month later, they called me and told me I had the lead role in this anime show called Overman King Gainer. And it was 26 episodes. And I felt like I learned so much just by doing, just by doing it. I learned so much. And, had a great director. Tony Oliver is known as a, experienced director in the anime world. And then that just led to other gigs, and so little by little more came, and So you never know what's going to happen or not happen in this industry.
Well, anime, there's even conventions for
Oh
anime,
yeah,
you
I've done
know.
a lot of
People.
conventions.
So, what's been your experience like at anime conventions?
It's been fun because when it's like when you're doing live theater, the audience's response. When you're doing anime, you have no idea because there's no one there, and no one's calling you to tell you, oh my God, you were so great in that. You just do it, you leave, whatever. And it's just nice when you go to these conventions. When someone told me about, hey, you can go to these conventions, and I was a newbie, so I didn't really know anything about the conventions. And first one I went to was in Dallas. I think it's called Acon, and it was huge. It's like one of the huge ones, and so I was kind of overwhelmed a bit. So I was really glad that my first panel was on stage with a lot of other voice actors because I didn't know what to expect, you know, and I wasn't really known. So I could, I was just taking it in so I could know what it's like. So I was really glad there were other people with me on that stage. And then of course as it evolved and I did more and more anime, I was doing my own panels and autograph time and all that stuff. But I loved it because, you get to hear different things and why people like different shows you're in, or the character that you do, or that sort of thing. Or if you see the cosplay, you're like, oh my God, they're cosplaying my character, they're cosplaying the show I'm in, or and I always thought that was a lot of fun.
Well, here's a question I ask all my guests, what's the most unique thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Oh, interesting. I know that a banana.
Really?
Yeah, a banana. A
Now,
banana.
why were you signing a banana?
I think what had happened was I
I
was
never heard this.
yeah, I was in a panel with I can't remember the two actors. I was in a panel with these other two actors, Patrick Seitz, and I can't remember the woman actor. And okay, so I this is a weird little story, but I'm in a show called Do Ra Ra Ra, which is very popular at the time, and it's a very ensemble piece. And I would do these Do Ra Ra panels, and it was very interactive, and I tried to make it just a lot of fun with people. And I would give at the very end, I would say I gave away tons of prizes, like cool prizes, and sometimes, and I have like either those wall hangings or a plushie, or would be my in prize, of Durara, and it would always be Durara related or just crazy stuff. There's a Japanese store called Daiso, and I would go to there and I'd just get all kinds of Japanese stuff. And so forward to this other panel I was at, the Patrick Sykes was talking about some weird anime, and it was something about a banana, and it was a like kind of a sexual connotation in this anime.
Yep.
And after that panel, I was supposed to go and do my panel, and I remembered in my bag because I had all my prizes with me because I was going to go to my panel after. I had this that I had gotten at the Japanese store, a plastic banana case,
Oh,
and
okay.
so it's plastic, and you when you go to take a banana to lunch, you put it in there so it doesn't bruise. But it's a banana,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So I would always try to find these unique Japanese things, right, that people wouldn't be able to get in other places. And so he's talking, and then I was just thinking, oh my God, I have this banana thing in my bag, and here he is talking. So I got up, and he's just talking, and I get the banana thing, I put it behind my back, and then he's continuing to talk. And then I take out the banana thing, and I rub it on his face, and then he looked, and just because of the connotation and the way it came up, the whole crowd just went nuts. They went nuts. And so after that, I told them, I said, I'm having this in my panel. This is one of the things I'm giving away. And it was so funny because so many people went from that panel to my panel because they wanted to win the banana case. And so this one guy, he ended up winning, and he was so happy. And this was like a dad who had brought his kid. and he was so happy he won it, because of how just the great time we had with it and the other one. But so I signed that, but then somebody else brought a real banana for me to sign, so I had to do that too.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was so weird.
Yeah, well, that's gonna get all bad and this and that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
really?
I think it's just you know, out of fun. They wanted me to sign it, knowing that it would not be something that would last.
Well, there's people like I don't have any tattoos, but there's people that will get people sign their areas of their body and they'll
Yeah,
get the signatures tattooed on them. But I don't know how the banana signature, you like, it's not gonna be it's not gonna
right,
last.
right. And I'm sure they had me sign something else that would last, but I think they
Oh,
just
there
had
you go. That
out
makes
of,
up for it.
yeah, they just had to do it out of fun, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So do you got any projects coming up that you want to promote on here?
Um, Only thing I've got, and I think it's already out though, is a Blue Exorcist is out again. It's the third season, and I think it's called something like Blue Exorcist Snow Saga. I'm not really sure, but
Hmm.
it's the third season of it. So that is out now. It just I think came out within the last month or so.
Hmm.
And my character came back, which I love. I don't know if there's gonna be a four. If there is, hopefully my character will be more in it. I have a fun demon character that I play, who's very childlike, but don't get him angry. He's got a playful attitude about his evil, you know. So and he loves lollipops and that sort of thing. So he was
Hmm.
actually a very popular one for people to cosplay because he also has like this green hair with a point, and they would have
Oh,
the
okay.
yeah, and they would have the lollipop with them, and they would have how he dresses, and really quite clever costumes. It was just amazing. So really, that's the only thing right now, and I'm just like every journeyman actor looking for my next gig.
So, you have a website or anything like that on here that you want to promote?
I don't. I'm one of
Okay.
the like most. Yeah, I just come
Oh,
through
you don't
Facebook.
have to explain it to me. I'm kind of in the same boat, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm on Instagram. I post
Hmm.
something if anything ever comes up or things like that. If people want to join that, or my acting page on Facebook is Darrel Guilbeau Actor. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. And every now and then
Wow.
I get, or and every now and then I don't know how they find my address, but every now and then I get a letter from someone asking me to sign, something to send to them, and I definitely
Do they ever send you bananas?
do. No, if they do, they better send a whole bunch, and they need to be green so that way they don't spoil too fast.
That's funny.
But I'm not
That's
going to
funny.
sign it and send it back. I'm eating it. So
Does Daisy come with you to these conventions? I imagine what you'd think of
I
the
would
cosplay.
I would love to have taken her, but people at cons that have heard me know my dog. They hear about her, so things like that is kind of funny. One convention wanted me to do like a a little video opening, and I had Daisy with me.
Hmm.
One time I had her sit, and on my Facebook page I had the new Do Rubber Rod DVD that came out, and she was sitting there, and it was kind of propped up with her, and she's just kind of like looking, like what is it? So I had her to help promote my stuff.
Yeah, I love it when Skittles pops up in these Zooms because I used to do these at the station I was affiliated with, and I do these by phone. And then when the pandemic hit, I had no way of being able to do that. And one of my guests, Nancy McLaughlin, had told me about Zoom,
Mm,
and it was one of my UK guests, Carrie Yates, who helped me get set up for Zoom.
right,
And this is kind of cool because I don't have to go anywhere.
right.
This is really cool. And this is so much better and a nice interaction. But I love the fact that occasionally I get Skittles up there because you can look back on that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh yeah. Do you get any conventions coming up that you're going to be part of?
my last one I did was in Phoenix in Mesa, and I kind of took a break. I've done over 50 conventions, and I mean there are some people that do them like twice a month, all the time,
Hmm.
and I just kind of took a break. So I don't know when I'll be doing them again. I
Hmm.
haven't been doing as much anime or video games, unfortunately. I mean, the industry's changed a lot. And I kind of made the Mesa one sort of my last, actually. And I told him, I said, I think this is going to be my last convention. Not that I don't want to go, but
Now, why would it be your last?
well, I just feel like I haven't really been doing as much, and I don't want to go if I don't have anything new to promote. I just feel that way. I don't know. If I'm not
Okay.
bringing something like people want to hear about that's new, I mean, maybe there'll be a retro one for something someday. I mean, if somebody did like, oh, we're going to bring in all the cast members from a show, that I'm in. Oh, yeah, I would love to do that. But
Okay.
yeah, so I'm just taking it easy right now, I guess, and just focusing on my life and fun stuff like that.
Hmm.
But like I said, maybe in the future, but it's gonna be definitely that's my last one for a while.
Okay.
And I love to
Okay.
travel. I love going to all these different places to meet
Where's
people.
your favorite place to go to travel?
I mean, I love going anywhere because I'm curious.
Hmm.
So, I've been to Boise, Idaho, which I like. I've been to Spokane, Washington. I've been to, different places in Florida, and I mean, just all over the country. And then also Malaysia and Austria and Australia. Australia is just amazing. So, I was always open to whoever would want me. Chicago, so Dallas, Austin, so many great places to go.
Did you hang out with the kangaroos in Australia?
I did, and I held a koala.
There you go. I
It was
find
so.
it funny. I've interviewed a handful of guests from Australia, including Little Nell from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh wow.
She lives in Australia, and I could hear the birds and stuff in the background, you know. She also has a cat because I kept seeing the tail go across the Zoom thing. But I've had her on a couple of times, and I would ask her about the animals because there's so many animals there that can kill you. But
I
it's
know.
amazing the stories I hear that people living there. It's like, yeah, we never see them except for maybe the odd funnel spider. Said, you know, um,
Yeah.
you might have to be careful of brown snakes or whatever, but like the Australian taipan snake lives in a very, very unpopulated area.
Oh,
So, I mean, uh, but I hear about, like the taipan snake and the saltwater crocodile and the cassowary and the box jellyfish, and I'm like, sounds scary,
yeah, yeah.
but that's not what I'm hearing from people living
No.
there.
I think, like you said, there's so many areas of Australia that are not populated that
Hmm.
in the center of the country, and I think a lot
Yeah.
of those creatures are pretty much around there in the outback. So
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
you go to Florida, Louisiana, there's alligators, there's water moccasins. The West has rattlesnakes. So we have quite a few things too that can, grizzly bears, a few things that can eat Americans and other people that come around.
it's funny here, we don't really have a lot of that. Um, in terms of animals, in terms of wildlife, if I go out to the dumpster to throw my trash out, I'll see raccoons.
Right,
If I go on a walk, I'll see the occasional porcupine or skunk.
yeah, yeah,
I went to Toronto, I saw black squirrels. I'd
right,
never seen black squirrels because we have gray and red squirrels here. But I mean, I seen a baby black bear one time
yeah,
when I was driving home from someplace. I don't see them a lot. I
right,
see deer quite a bit. I've never seen a moose. The
right,
signs are up between here and St. John and here in Moncton.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I've never seen a moose. I don't really want to see one when I'm driving. Um, I oh gee, we've got garter snakes here, but we got nothing
Right,
poisonous. We've
right.
got tortoises here.
Yeah. We also have
Uh,
scorpions.
huh?
We also have scorpions.
We don't have scorpions.
Yeah.
We have garter snakes, and those are harmless. And we got frogs and toads, and we got salamanders, which are a rare sea. Tortoises are a rare sea. You got various birds here, like bald eagles, which, if you're lucky, you could see one every now and again.
Oh,
Um,
it was at a convention in Miami, and I wasn't doing anything that day, and I went to the pool, and I'm just laying there, and these huge iguanas are just like roaming around, and that was like, oh my god! I was like, that scared me. I don't have iguanas here in LA. I mean, but
yeah,
they're tropical, Florida. So that was kind of weird to me, like to see these large iguanas walking around.
yeah.
So I don't even know. Do
Occa
they bite? I don't know. I don't know.
and occasionally, in certain places here, you could see the odd fox.
Right.
I've seen them, and I seen a coyote once.
Well, we have a lot of coyote here.
I saw one crossing the road here in the city, actually, and it was kind of odd, you know. But all in all, I don't feel threatened by animals here. I think one of the things with me, though, like I remember growing up, I used to be afraid of dogs,
Mm.
and then I got my picture taken with a 10-foot Burmese python, and now I'm not really afraid of people, let alone dogs. It's because that thing was heavy on the neck, and it didn't bother me, but there's just something about animals like that that could kind of make you. Because I remember growing up, I was bullied a lot in school.
Mm.
So when I got my picture taken with that snake, I kind of fibbed and made people think it was mine.
Right, 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 right,
Yeah, yeah. And people didn't know what to think of that because I was into snakes. So,
right.
but but I don't know. Snakes aren't as playful as my kitty cat. So yeah. So I don't own a snake. I just own my kitty. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah. But nonetheless, I had a blast having you come on here today, and I'm really glad we were able to make this work with our time.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
yeah, so we were able to make that work, and you were able to come on here, and I get to see some of your beautiful California background, and till your phone decided, you know what, let's go inside.
Exactly. I'm plugged in now, so I got my kids
Yeah,
going.
yeah. But it was wonderful having you come on here, and hopefully, we can see you at a convention at some point in the future. Maybe they might do something with Silent Night, Deadly Night too.
You never know. You never know, right?
Yep, yep, and get Lee out to one of these or something, and like Eric started doing them, and I think he's enjoying it. I think
Yeah,
he's really enjoying it. I find a lot of these people, especially when they come from movies that had a reputation of being bad or terrible. Then
right.
they go to these conventions and it's just
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. They
People
appreciate
are actually embracing this.
right, and they appreciate it, and they appreciate
Yeah,
that you're there.
yeah.
Anyway. So,
Oh, I had a good time meeting Eric, and like I said, I had him on here last December and had a nice chat with him, and yeah. So I always have fun with these movies, and I watch the first two in my Christmas rotation. So yeah. I'll usually watch them back to back. So there you go.
so great.
But
Well, yeah,
anyway, it was
it was a
wonderful having
pleasure.
you come on
Yeah,
here
it was a
today.
pleasure for me, Greg. So I really appreciate you contacting me and having me on as well. So
Yeah,
this is for
absolutely.
me like one of those things where, oh, somebody's contacting me about that. It's always, again, things like this are always a nice surprise. So you never know what's gonna come your way.
Well, the pleasure was all mine, and like I said, I enjoy this movie, and I appreciated Tommy Kovac for suggesting you. It's not that you weren't on my radar. It's just like I said, with my work schedule, I don't get a chance to really go into these the way he does, and he does a lot more of these than I do. And so he sent me a list of people, and he always sends me a list of people that A are interesting and B um, he had a good time with, but he thinks I'll have a good time with. So that's a key thing. So you came highly recommended, and I was like, okay, I love Silent Night, Deadly Night too. Sure, absolutely. So yeah, I'll do
Wish you
that.
all the best, Greg, and all the best for your work and your future and everything.
Yeah. Well, eventually I'd like to move to Toronto.
Right?
I love Toronto, but with the inflation and all that crap going on, it's like, come on, like
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you're not already established there, especially these days. But, same with Los Angeles. I'm glad I'm here from because I don't know if I could afford it if I was just moving here the first time.
yeah, it's like a lot of people have said to me, well, if you like Toronto so much, why don't you just move there? It's not quite that. I'm not Harry Potter. I can't wave the wand and make it happen.
Yeah, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, like my one of my cleaning jobs could transfer me there,
Yeah,
but again, I need to be set up so that I can also financially keep myself too,
absolutely.
you know? So I'm hoping I'm hoping that not that I want to get into politics, but I'm hoping Pierre Poilievre gets the win on the next election because I really, I'm not liberal or conservative, but we cannot deal with another 4 years of Trudeau Carney. I can't. But
Well, good luck with that.
anyway, I'm
I
glad to
appreciate
be working. I feel blessed to have a job and hopefully I'll make Toronto work because I love the big city. And so, yeah. But before I let you go,
it.
would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Oh, sure. How would you like
Yeah.
me to do?
Just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Hi, I am Darrel Guilbeau, and you are listening to Greg's podcast on what is it?
Python's Paradise.
I'll do it again. Should I do
Go
it again?
for it. Go
Okay.
for it. Oh, gee, I've had so many guests come on here, and some of them would have to do it 4 or 5 times.
Okay,
I
good.
always keep I always keep the outtakes in for it. I love it.
Hi, I am Darrel Guilbeau of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 and other anime and video games. You are listening to Greg's podcast on Python's Pleasure.
Python's Paradise, but
See? See, like,
you want
I'm
me to tell you something? I had Rowdy Roddy Piper's son and daughter on here back in 2017. And when I got them to do this,
yeah.
his son Colt got it in the first go. His daughter Ariel, and I have her come on every year. Number one, she's really cute. But number two, boy, she screwed that up like 5 or 6 times. It was just hilarious
Can you
watching her react to
can
it,
you
you
still
know?
see me? Can you still see me?
Yep.
Okay, good, because my Zoom kind of went out on my side. Um,
Okay.
oh, it's Python's Paradise.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna get it on the third. They always say the third one's the best, right?
Sure.
I'm gonna write it down because my brain will like, no, it's this, and I'm like, it's not.
I bet Daisy would have gotten the first try.
Oh, definitely. Python's Paradise.
Daisy gets sung about in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
That's true. Very true. I forgot about that. All right,
Go
here
for
we
it.
go. Hi, I'm Darrel Guilbeau of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, as well as anime and video games voices. You are listening to Greg's podcast, Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. Folks, check out Darrel's Anime and check out his video games. My brother's a big video game person. And of course, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, where I'm going to take a guess he'll be starting his own driving class some point in the future.
Yeah. How to hit a pedestrian.
How to drive over logs.
How to drive a logs, exactly.
We got to update you from a Jeep to monster truck.
Yeah, yeah. I'll run over a lot of logs. Exactly.
There you go.
It's
Darrel, you
gotta be
enjoy,
red.
huh?
It has to be red.
There you go. Red. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Darrel, enjoy that beautiful California weather.
thank you.
And yeah, I hope you avoid the fires. I hear California is such a beautiful place, so it's devastating when I hear stuff like that. So yeah. But anyway, you enjoy your day with Daisy.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.